Hello people, once again, a little video on the latest bit of law trivia in the news. British man detained in Dubai because he's treating Dubai like a Spanish holiday resort, and that is definitely what Dubai is not. So, British tourist faces jail for accidentally touching man's hip in bar. Electricians said to have held a hand in front of him to avoid spilling drink on himself and others. Okay. Scott is facing a 3-year jail sentence in Dubai after putting his hand on a man in a bar, so he did not bump and spill drinks, according to his representative. Okay, interesting. We'll talk about that in a minute. I'll go for the story first. Campaign group detained in Dubai, who I'm vaguely aware of actually, said Jamie Harron from Stirling was arrested for public indecency after touching a man on his hip. Mr. Harron has reportedly spent more than 30 grand in expenses and legal fees, having been detained in UAE since July. Rada Sterling, chief executive of Detained in Dubai. Oh no, he's from Stirling, and the guy's just... Oh, okay, Rada's just surnames happens to be Sterling. This is quite outrageous that he's been held in the country for so long already. Not necessarily. This is another example of how vulnerable tourists are to arrest and detention in Dubai and how drawn out and disorganised legal proceedings are. Many legal charges go on for months and months and months of people being detained without bail. So why is this unusual? I mean, America's got classic examples of this, and so I mean the UK is a little less detaining because we don't charge for bail. You either get it or you don't. In America, in particular, you have to pay a bail bond to be let out quite often. And if not, and sometimes the judge says no bond. The nature of the crime is such that you don't get bond, buddy. You're in prison. But that's quite rare. Right, the 27-year-old electrician is said to have been holding a drink, moving through a crowded bar, and held a hand in front of him to avoid spilling it on himself and others. He then touched a man's hip to avoid impact. The organisation, which is detained in Dubai, claims that it was only after Mr. Harron and his friends sat at a table that the man who he had touched seemed to be aggravated. The police arrived at the scene 20 to 30 minutes later and arrested Mr. Harron, according to his representatives. His charges after the the alleged event, at the Rock Bottom Bar, might be worth googling that. Let me Google that. Rock Bottom Bar. Are said to include drinking alcohol and public indecency. Mr. Harron is said to have been locked away for 5 days in Al Bashra prison before being released after bail with his passport confiscated. Mr. Sterling added, Ms. Sterling added, I've spoken to Jamie today, who is under immense pressure and stress. He is expected to appear in court this Sunday, but the court moved the date without telling him or his lawyer. This led to a sentence of 30-day imprisonment for failing to present his face. He's got contempt of court, basically. I mean, I don't know what it is in an Islamic country, but I'm sure the principle's there. He's got 30 days imprisonment for failing to present himself at the hearing. So it's not even a trial; it's just a pre-hearing. A Foreign and Commonwealth Office spokesman says, "We have been in contact with a British man following his arrest in Dubai in July. We are providing consular assistance." Going to come on to that in just a bit. So first of all, you're an alien, you're in a foreign land, and that foreign country is Dubai, which has some questions about what's going on with tourists, the treatment of tourists and people being arrested for this, that and the other, let alone all the suicides that go on in Dubai. So, yeah, I mean, Dubai, treat it with respect, man. It's not a holiday home. I mean, it looks like a holiday home, but believe me, you want to have a little bit more conscientious thought about what you're actually up to in this country. And yes, I have been. So, let's have a look. First of all, representation. So, first thing you do whenever you get into any kind of problems with the law, call the lawyer. Now, the thing is, this chap, he's a Scotsman, and he's in Dubai. Okay, so as you can tell, he would probably go very red and freckly if he's left out in the sun very long. And you'll probably find out that the local people don't go out in the sun, don't go freckly, and tend to cover themselves up if they are out and about in public. Okay, and they might wear shades like that, but I think even bathing, they wear like a full costume in that country. So, what does that try to emphasise? I'm trying to emphasise the fact of this. This is a map of the jurisdictions of the world, whether it's legal, customs, hybrids, common law, if you like. You've got even Muslim or Sharia, or what's that called? Fiqh law. Now you can see like America, the good old Commonwealth countries that went off around the world, and spread Her Majesty's domain all over the place. They're pretty much still Commonwealth. You've got some hybrids going on here. Quebec is obviously ex-French, so it's code and customs essentially. I think that's Washington DC. You've got Scotland here highlighted as a code and customs land. Good luck with that. Then you've got Australia, New Zealand. India is pretty much a Commonwealth kind of land, but they're more emphasising on the customary law. That's probably because it suits them, because in India there's so many languages, so many customs, so many cultures, that it's essentially where you are is what you're allowed to get up to. Now let's look at this tiny little speck here. That is our lovely place of UAE. So it's not a solid green Saudi Arabia Sharia law, and it's not a blue civil law like these laws. It's looking at his what do they call it these things? A key, isn't it? But I think they call it. There's a word for it. But anyway, so this is kind of a light cyan kind of colour. I think you would call that maybe like a light green. So it's a customary with the Muslim Sharia law. So it's not out and out Sharia law. So on that basis, now that this guy's been fleeced of all his money by representations and costs, I would consider highlighting the fact to the court that you're this, as opposed to any picture of a native Dubai person. So clearly you're a tourist. You tried your best to fit in and be polite, and in your customs, in your culture, it's more than acceptable to go for a bar and say excuse me please, and just if it's noisy, for example, and they can't hear you, then I mean that's particularly common in bars and on a busy Friday, Saturday night. They can't hear you coming. They might not see you coming because they got your back to you. So what you can do, you might just tap them on the elbow or something like that. There's nothing unreasonable about what he's done from like an English Western kind of culture, but obviously in Dubai, I mean, even in English culture, you're not technically allowed to touch anyone because you can't obviously inflict any kind of bodily contact on people unless you have their consent. And even in England, you could, if someone's touched you, say that guy just touched me. Obviously the police will say, get on with it. Who gives it? Is there any blood? Is there any guts? Is there any injury? No, there's no injury. Okay, so what damages is there? What breach of the peace is there? But obviously in Dubai, whoever he touched has obviously been offended quite significantly. Obviously, none of us know. We'll have to speculate as to why the native man has become so upset with this guy trying to squeeze past in a bar. But it's clearly a customs. This is where customs is higher than the law. So in Dubai, you don't touch anyone. Maybe let's just take that argument. In Dubai, you never touch anyone, especially in a bar. You probably have to say excuse me. You probably just shout until they bloody hear you. Get out of my way. But in England, in a noisy, loud bar, or in Scotland, it's all right just to like nudge people out the way because they might not be able to hear you as clearly as in a quiet room. So that's where customs clash. Okay, so one custom that's wrong, one custom it's totally fine. So that's where the customs define the law. Without customs, the law is not defined. And the way that I can relate that to you is think about a Pacific island. Let's go back to my little map. Somewhere around here. I've heard rumours that there's tribes on these native islands that they're cannibal. They're more than happy to eat their defeated enemies. So if we go over there and we start saying no, you can't eat people. I mean, I mean, that's like saying to a Scotsman that you can't drink beer anymore. All right, it's silly. Uh, Even if you're in Dubai, where drinking alcohol is not permitted, but obviously over here, it's probably encouraged. Where over here, eating people, if you kill them in some sort of clan tribal warfare, is more than fine. And I don't know where the head shrinker people were. I think they're in over here, but maybe they're over here as well. So shrinking heads and eating your fallen enemies, that's totally fine. They've been doing it since time began. Their fathers did it. Their fathers' fathers did it, and they just keep doing it. So you can't really go over there and say, no, you can't eat heads, mate. Well, hang on a minute. This is our land. This is our country. This is our custom. Therefore, as it's customary to us, it's lawful for us to do that. Okay, it's not something that you prescribe as a rule in paper, and then everyone has to follow it, like in a civil case. So it's customs. The customs define what is right and wrong. So if a guy on an island here eats a fellow tribesman, brings the tribesman back and cooks him up for the village, no one's going to complain. Okay, no one's going to raise a claim about that. They're going to be like, "Oh wow, we're dining on man flesh tonight," and that's totally fine if that's what they like, if that's what keeps them happy, if that's what their definition of the pursuit of happiness is, then crack on. So how does that relate back to here? So obviously he's not a head-eating guy, but he's obviously a Scotsman, drinks alcohol, thinks he's in Malaga, and naively he's bumped into a man thinking that there's nothing wrong with that, and hey presto. The laws come back to haunt him 20 minutes later to detain him. Okay, and the first thing he's done is got representation. Okay, now representation means that you're now a full-blown Muslim by proxy. Okay, so you're now accepting that you're drinking in a bar, you've touched your fellow Muslim by proxy. Okay, of getting representation. So the first thing you never ever do, don't ever give anyone the pleasure of making you represented in their court, not your court. It's their court against you. You are just a component of their court. It's nothing. You have no court unless this guy can set up his own court, and the court would be a court of an idiot. Leave me alone. Kick me out of here by all means. Ban me for life. I won't come back. Got no problems with that. But he's not. He's obviously gone like the legal dumbass route in the UK, where everyone goes running down to solicitors or lawyers and say, "Oh, I've been naughty. I've got legal problems." So yeah. I'm just going to go through the other points. So they've obviously started fleecing him of all his money. He's run out of money now. So what? This is why it starts saying, "Well, we actually need to take it seriously, guys. This guy's got no more money, presumably." I mean, I don't know how many electricians have 30 grand of savings, but fair enough. The poor guy's lost all his cash. This is quite outrageous. He's been taking the country for so long already. I've already covered that already. It's not outrageous. They could keep him there forever. Disorganised legal proceedings. I'm sure they are disorganised legal proceedings. Who knows? Again, the legal and the customs are totally different, okay? The customs defines the law, and the legal operates either above the law or below the law, depending on what part of the planet Earth you're in, okay? So here, the blue code land is below the customs that define the law, okay? And in here, the blue land, it's like, I don't care what your customs are, you must conform. So if Napoleon says all your baguettes must be straight, and all bread must be like that and sold at a particular price, I don't care if you've been making flat naan breads for your whole since time dot, you now have to conform to the baguette way of doing it. Yeah, that's a silly example, but I hope that's just a simple example. Whereas here, the government might say, right, all bread has to be, or here, all bread has to be baguette shaped. It says, well, actually, we've been making sliced square loaves since Lord Sandwich and possibly before that, so we're going to carry on doing it. But thank you for your lovely recommendation to make baguettes. We might take that on board, we might not. It's kind of like on advisement, whereas here it's enforceable. Where am I? Back to this. Okay, so let's keep going through another point I wanted to raise up. Spilling his drink. Yeah, so you could say he's trying to avoid the greater harm by being, he's trying to avoid spilling his drink by just putting out a hand. What would you rather have? A stain down your clothes, which would be damages, or would you rather have a touch on the hip or on the shoulder or on the elbow just to get out of the way, please? The organiser, Sinclair's. So the guy obviously said, it's probably in the bar, get that call the police, get the fucking police down there, get that guy arrested, it'd be funny. because they have to do what the local. I mean, this is protect, like almost like a nationalist protectionist system where Dave knows Dave, who is the head of the police office, and he's also second cousin to the king of whatever UAE. So, I mean, I'm just speculating there, but it's quite a tight knit community in UAE. So don't, if you piss someone off there, fucking 1,000 pardons. How can I right the wrong? So drinking alcohol and public indecency. Drinking alcohol and public indecency. Not that one. UAE. Let's look where he was. Are you shitting me? Nah. Are you fucking shitting me? This is like a redneck fucking establishment. What the fuck? Really? That can't be right. No. What? Really? Holy crap. Okay, that's interesting. Well, that's a bit speechless. Okay, so he's in a kind of diner. He's in a diner. I mean, that looks like a respectable establishment. That's really interesting. So it wasn't like it's more like a restaurant really than a bar. I mean, that looks like a restaurant to me, like a cafe restaurant, diner kind of place. Interesting. Let's get back to the story. So he said he got arrested, locked up for 5 days, and they always steal your passport. Well, they don't steal. Well, technically it's stealing it. It's not their fucking property. Passport. It's not your property to give to anyone, and it's not anyone's property to ask for you, okay? It's a trust document between you and the government, essentially, and you are the beneficiary of it by being able to wave around a passport and travel around the planet from port to port without let or hindrance. Okay, so taking a passport is really not on. And giving it up is not really on, unless you're being threatened with violence and stuff. In case it's a piece of paper, throw it up. But it's not yours to give. Okay, and it's not really their business to take it. But obviously, if you've been charged with some sort of crime, they're gonna obviously make sure you don't jump boat. But I think technically, the first thing you should do when an alien has done something wrong is kick the fucking alien out of your country and say, "Don't you come back?" Because they're an alien. They've got no inherent rights to be on your land. And then just to keep a bastard on your land in a prison cell is just I mean, obviously a pending trial. They've got to do a trial because someone's raised a complaint, so they have to obviously take it through to some sort of trial. But yeah, I'm sure the guy wouldn't be too pissed off. I mean, does he want him to be in prison for 3 years, or would you rather have the guy kicked out of the country immediately? I spoke to Jamie today. Immense pressure. Yeah, moving the court date. So he got 30 days contempt of court is how I'm reading that. Okay, Commonwealth. So I wanted to look at what this consular assistance is, because obviously this is Roman law now, consular assistance. Because the way the words are made up, you can kind of tell. It's when Julian Assange ran into the consular as well. These are all Roman terminology. So consular assistance is helping and advice provided by the diplomatic agents of a country to citizens of that country who are living and travelling overseas. Citizens, okay? So looking after their corporate entities. Such assistance may take the form of provisions of replacing travel documents. Exactly. Who gives a crap? They take my passport. No problem. Here's a new one. Get the hell out of it. Now, the reason they can't really do that is because the UAE will probably kick out the whole consulate, and that'll stitch us up in terms of anyone else who would like to go to the UAE. So they can't they can't circumvent the system that's in place there. Advice is in case of accident, serious illness, or death. Yeah, so he's had an accident. I would call this an accident. Okay. Now, the difference between, I don't know what it's like in the Muslim culture. I'm not obviously Muslim. I haven't read the Quran. I'm not, incredibly up to date with the local customs of the UAE people. But in from a Christian point of view, and from a Judeo Christian judiciary point of view, is there's always this intent is always an important factor in any crime. It's the difference between murder and manslaughter. Okay, it's the difference between intentionally stealing something and just accidentally taking it home. Oh, sorry, very sorry. So intent is really, really important. It's the difference between dangerous driving and having an accident in a car. Okay, and just, I'm really sorry. Look, I didn't see you. Whatever happened. So there is a clear difference in laws intent. Okay, now this guy is in a bar. He's just trying to get through, maybe back to his table. So he's just like, oh, excuse me, please. But it's like second nature to him. So. But second nature to him and his customs have obviously caused a controversy with a local in that town who's decided to call the police and really fuck up this guy's day, which is fine. I mean, that's probably UAE customs, is to fucking fuck up an infidel outsider alien's day if they come across you or cross your path in any way, which is fine. But now that he's being treated as a local in a UAE court, which is something. I don't know what the judiciary is called out there in UAE, but I mean, if they are anything like Abrahamic system of law, then they should really, they probably, they know how to act, but they've obviously got to please their superiors. I think there's a lot more element of that. Maybe the judiciary, I mean, I'm just speculating here, but in England, obviously the judiciary's always been proudly hailed as being independent of government and I suppose in some ways the monarchy. Being impartial. So anyway, so the Scots guy's got himself in a state where he's now got to get out of trouble. And his biggest defence, in my opinion, is to claim outsider status. So he needs to claim, look, I'm an alien, I'm an outsider. If there's any wrong, is there any damages? Bring it right back down to common law principles, okay? Because common law is injury, harm, and loss, okay? And also do what you do when you say you're going to do it, which is keeping up your word. So with UAE, there seems to be an element of customary law here. Okay, so I would definitely get it out of like the Sharia, I'm going to kick the shit out of you law, or the Rick law, which way, and just say, look, I'm obviously an alien, I don't speak your language, I am not going to be represented, I'm a pasty white Scottish guy, I'm here on holiday tourism under a travel document known as a passport, which has been issued by something called the British government. Okay, I'm very sorry for anything that I've done. If the man would like, right, the one thing he can do is fucking bring his accuser forward, because that is at age zero. Age zero. Since the dawn of time, anyone who's accusing you of anything, bring that motherfucker forward. Okay, bring that guy. I wish to face my accuser. Okay, and bring Ali Muqdali in front of the court, and then you can cross-examine Ali Muqdali and say, Ali Muqdali, what has actually happened? What harm have I caused you, Ali? Where's the bruising? Where's the bones broken? Where's the witnesses? And really, you have to stand on your own 2 feet and get this fucking guy in a stand, and in front of all of his fucking friends and smirking bloody judiciary and everyone else who's going to go up there and make that guy seem like a fucking pussy. And actually show him that the Scottish man was actually, okay, I touched you to get you out of the way so I didn't spill a drink on you. So, but you're in my way, buddy. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't know what you people do when someone's in their way. Maybe you get your servant to kick him out of the way. Maybe you shower them. Maybe you taser them. Maybe you shoot them. I have no idea. But it's customary for my people just to give you a little knock on the arm, a little tap on the shoulder, push the hip, whatever, just so that I don't spill my drink on you, you don't spill my drink on me, and everyone gets on their day as chummy as possible. Okay, and that's it. So where's the controversy? Where's the damages? Where's the injured party? All right, what's actually at problem here? Or is it just a funny game of you locking up an alien, an idiot, an outsider in prison because, hey, this is our country, we do what we want? Is that the kind of law system that you run here in a Muslim state? Fantastic, right, well, I'll just sit in my prison cell until you guys fucking get civilized. So that's basically what it is. Now, I did say there, idiot. Idiot's a very important word. And this is a classic example of how being an idiot is a godsend, is the most important thing. So before people start screaming, oh, you said idiot, because you're trained to react to idiot in a certain way. Right, idiot is a person so mentally... Right, okay, so a person so mentally deficient as incapable of ordinary reasoning. That's probably the more insulting element of it, okay. A simple man. Yeah, I'm definitely a simple man. An uneducated man, so you're not like a professional, like you're not a lawyer, you're not a doctor, surgeon, someone who's had to, a pilot, someone who's had to go under some serious training in order to be a professional in some sort of field. A layman. Now, most of us are layman, so an idiot and a layman. If you ever called yourself a layman, you pretty much are calling yourself an idiot. An uneducated person, you could also say an ignorant or bigot, uneducated in the ways of the world. Latin idiota, an ordinary person. Who out there would not disagree that they are an ordinary person? A layman, yes, I've known many people who say they're a layman, but would they ever call themselves an idiot? An outsider. Now this is definitely a case of an outsider, because he's come from outside into your land and he's totally ballsed up. It's a I'll get my coat moment. I've upset the party. I'll go get my coat. I'm out of here. I'm obviously not welcome. Greek, idiotes, or whatever. I don't know how you say Greek. Layman, person lacking professional skill, as opposed to some examples there. A private person. Who's not a private person? And now the most important thing is it's a root stems from idios, one's own. One's own. Very important. Yeah. So don't laugh at idiots. I remember Mr. Cameron called someone an idiot in Parliament once. Now, when you think about it, Parliament is a Houses of Parliament. You're members of Parliament. So for a member to call another member an idiot was very offensive, because you're basically saying you're part of the electorate. You're outside the House. You're one of the people out there. You're not a member of this House. You're an idiot, sir. Get out. What are you doing here? You're an outsider. So for someone to call a member within a house, a fellow member, an idiot, the chair, which was John Bursko at the time, actually told David Cameron, you can Google that if you want to watch it, now, I got a big laugh, but you need to apologise for the use of your language, because no one's an idiot in this house. They're all members. They've all sworn on the Bible or sworn to God to uphold the Queen and be loyal and represent their constituents in such a manner. So this is basically what we have here. We have a Scotsman who is an idiot, an outsider, an alien, definitely an alien. Jesus Christ, alien doesn't mean little green men. A foreigner, citizen of a foreign land. Now, alien. So, if we just go, where it roots from alien. Right to hold property of another until debt is paid. That's alien. Yeah. So a right to hold property, i.e., well, the passport is not even your property. You're just holding it on behalf of the government to allow you to go from here to there. Okay, but like all this other stuff, like your suitcase and shoes, basically your suitcase would be your property that you take on, and obviously yourself, your body, your being, is your property while you're in another land. Okay, so that is all your property that you have to take. So a lien would be the right to hold property of another until a debt is paid, okay, as a bond. There we go. But an alien means when you put an A in front of a word, it means no right to hold property of another until debt is paid. There is no right. There used to be, when I first went to Japan, and I think even if you think about the Sting song, I'm an alien. I'm a legal alien. I'm an Englishman in New York. That one, the alien immigration is quite common, and in Japan it's only recently changed. When I went there and they called me an alien, I was naive before I learnt all the law. So I'm not a bloody alien, but hell yeah, I'm an alien. You're not going to take if I do anything wrong, you kick me out, you get rid of me, give all my stuff, and kick me out the house party. You don't do what's happening to this guy. It's bad form since the beginning of time. So I don't know what the judiciary or whatever they call it in UAE is up to, but it's obviously quite an interesting marketing for the global citizenry that, hey, Dubai do things like this. We don't care if you're an alien. We don't care if you're an outsider. We don't care if your customs are different. If one of our people just says, that guy's a dick, that guy bumped in, that guy touched my hip, you're going in prison, you're going to be drained of all your finances with legal battles, and at some point we're going to take your passport off you, and at some point we might get around to trying you. You know, that's basically what you're being advertised here in the United Arab Emirates. And if that's how they do things, then that's how they do things, and you are putting yourself in that system when you go there. Enjoy. So yeah, the right to hold property. Alien, the right, not, you have no right to hold the property of another until debt's paid. So even if you did a debt as an alien, it's kind of like you're immune from prosecution in a way. If you accept an alien into your country, it's at your expense. You let the alien in your country. You let them wander around the streets to harm your people, if harm has even been committed here. And that's basically the principal defences that this guy's having. But like I said, as soon as you get representation, which I've covered many times, you are now being represented by, I don't know, let's pretend this guy on the beach is an upstanding Muslim citizen of UAE. He's now there acting on your behalf, but he's not going to go to prison. You're going to go to prison. So the most important thing for this guy is just to stand there as a man, face his accuser, drag that Muhammad al-Muhammadi into court and say, what is the damages here, man? What have I offended you so much? Are you acting like a man to man? Is this how Muslim men act? Do Muslim men get upset if I nudge you on the shoulder or on the arm? Is that like some sort of massive offence? Because where I come from, you know, we're bigger than that. You know what I mean? So call him out man to man in court and have this guy appear and have him beg and plead to the judiciary or whatever judge is saying, "Oh, my hip really hurts. Oh, yeah," and you know, then let their own people see what they've got walking among them, and realizing that you've been basically put in prison for a very trivial thing. And not that they can't do that, because again, you've got to abide by the rules of the local country that you happen to be going into. Obviously, in the Christian, I was talking about something about accidents and stuff, and intent. In the Christian sense of the words, is sticks and stones will break our bones, names will never hurt me, which is very important, and also the forgiveness. Forgiveness is like, it happens on a daily basis. Like, okay, in England, in a bar, you're not allowed to touch anyone. So if someone did touch you, so excuse me. You know, it's kind of, we're used to it in that respect. So you know, forgiveness is almost guaranteed, unless you're obviously ripping people out of the way and that, and you're going to cause a scene, you're going to cause a nuisance. But a little tap on the shoulder, a little knock on the elbow, a little nudge of the hip, whatever, you know, people just don't give a crap about that kind of stuff. You know, you get on about your day. Who cares? Yeah. So that's basically the gist of it. We'll see, but you know, he's fucked. short and sweet of it is he's entirely at their mercy. The people who are running the court system out there obviously aren't interested in the historical sense. He's being treated as an infidel, an outsider, an alien. But he should be. I mean, you don't even treat aliens as bad as this. You know, you don't treat aliens as bad as this. You don't treat outsiders like this. You know, you just say thank you. You had your time. You had your chance to settle in and not cause a controversy. But you balls it up. Here's your passport. There's the door. Get the hell out. Keeping them in prison and draining them of legal funds is just capitalisation in the most evil sense. Good luck to you.